It's episode 3 of the Monster Energy Racer X Supercross season preview shows for 2025, filled with riders who are good enough to win races and maybe even this championship. In fact, they're probably good enough to be in the first 2 episodes, but we'll bench race about that here. All backed by Monster Energy, Maxima, Fly Racing, and Motosport. Check out the QR codes on the screen for the latest deals from Motosport. And now let's get to bench racing with a much maligned group who believe they could be at the center of the podium on any given night. Yeah, welcome. Episode 3. It's your Racer X Monster Energy Supercross season preview, all part of the SMX World Championship that runs from January to September. But Anaheim 1 for Supercross begins January 11th. I could say get your tickets now, but there might not be any left because we have hashtag Deep Field. Episode 3 will prove that. Many riders still to talk about. I'm Jason Weigandt, joined by former pro racer Jason Thomas, former factory mechanic Steve Matthes. A big group of guys who have won races and titles left out of the first 2 shows. They're probably not happy about it, but life comes at you quick in this sport. We're going to talk about, if I get them all here, Jason Anderson, Ken Roczen, Aaron Plessinger, Justin Barcia, Malcolm Stewart, and Justin Cooper. Wow, that's still a lot of guys to get to. Steve, there it is. Hashtag Deep Field. We have it.
Look, you did a really smart thing with the end around on episodes 1 and 2. But JT, before he got hurt, before the shock blew up, he's 15 points out of second in the points. He's got to win. Ken Roczen, not in show 1. Now, I can see, I'm not going to just put Weigandt on the stake here and light it on fire because I get it. But JT, if you're Ken or Courtney Roczen, could you maybe have a case to be upset at Weigandt that he was not in show 1? As I said, he had a win. He was 15 points out of second in the points when he got hurt, when the shock blew up. Where are we at with Weigandt's placing of the 94 here?
I'm so happy you said this.
Oh, it's balls on the tee. The ball is on the tee.
It's just so good. It's so good. Because, Steve, I'm going to have to remind you that one of your key points that you've ever made about Ken Roczen coming back was that this is your words, he can't win the championship. You've said this 10 million times that he can't win the championship. And I battled and I argued, and I was wrong. In 2021, he was fighting for it, didn't end up winning it. Cooper Webb bested him. So how can you possibly say that he should be in episode 1 if your thesis about Ken Roczen is that he cannot win the championship?
I didn't know episode 1 was guys who can win the championship. I didn't know that was the title. I didn't understand. I thought it was just real fast main dudes.
Oh, really?
Good guys.
Okay. You just thought it was fast dudes. That's what you thought show 1 was, fast dudes?
No. If you're talking, because I didn't know there was a name for the episode 1. So
one now.
All right. So then no, then he's perfectly fine to be in this episode. But again,
incapable.
He's one of the biggest stars of the sport. He wins races every single year. Just like that group in show 1. He wins races every year. He only won 1 last year. So, races might be a bit much. But anyways, yeah, okay, fine. I'll understand that you two shit on Kenny. Cool.
Oh my God.
Here's who should actually be offended here, Steve. There was another rider in this group, in this show, who would probably argue I was actually better than Roxon. I had the points lead at one point, and I also won a race. The final results don't show it because he got hurt at the end of the year, but that is Aaron Plessinger. So if we're ranking the rankings, which we're not supposed to be doing, they're just all fast dudes, shouldn't Plessinger be like, the guy in the media already said Roxon's incapable of winning this title. I am the next guy. I'm the guy that got excluded.
We had some mutters to start the year. Aaron got a very popular win, the first of his career. Kenny has 19 wins. He's a veteran. He's a loved rider. He's just loved, just like Eli Tomac and Chase Sexton and Cooper Webb. That's all. Okay.
Fast dude. He's a fast dude.
Fast dudes. Episode 1. Fast dudes.
Yeah, race winning guys. Hold
on.
Plessinger won a race.
Yeah, but first one,
The inception of this show, episode 1 has always been the championship contenders. Always. So how could you ever think that it wasn't this time? And now it's just transitioned to some fast dudes that we happen to throw in.
Honestly, there were years
Great
where I
point.
did some end arounds and I put Chad and James in their own show, even though they could still win the title, just because people were going to watch that. It could have been show 9 and people were going to watch that one. But for the most part, I'm sorry, Ken. Prove me wrong. Then go win the title.
Listen. I'm not irate like I have been. Like, there's a case that you're putting Kenny in the right show. There's absolutely a case, and that's why I was asking JT if Kenny's in the right show, because I understand it. Yeah, I can see both sides. Unlike you two, I'm a very flexible person. I'm very able to listen to both sides of an argument. I think there's an argument that Kenny
both sides of an argument. If you look over the course of your life, you have made both sides of an argument many times. That's why it's so infuriating.
Does this come back to Alex Martin or Marty?
Wow.
Okay. So, anyways, I can make a case that Kenny could be in show 1.
Yeah.
I can see the case that he's not. I just want someone to be upset at Weege. I hope it's Courtney or Kenny. Well, it won't be Kenny. He's the gaff, but I hope it's Blake Savage or Courtney.
Okay. Well, we'll take it. That's fine.
Okay.
What is awesome about this is this really illustrates the hashtag deep field situation, because I think there have been years in Supercross history, right, where you pretty much knew only 2.5 guys could probably win. Like when I was a kid, it was like, it's going to be Wardier and RJ, or maybe 2 nights a year, Ron Lachine's going to be the best guy in the world. And that's it. No one else is winning a race. We're at this point where we know that Sexton and Webb and Tomac and the Lawrence brothers are great. But yeah, Roxon winning a race at Glendale last year, Roxon winning a race this year, Plessinger winning, Jason Anderson winning again, Barcia. None of this would be shocking. I think that's awesome that we're in this part. JT, is there anyone on this list that could win a race that you'd say, I cannot believe that this guy won a race?
No, and I think that's really what this show probably is guys that most likely won't win the title, but can win a race at any time, and nobody's going to lose their mind about it. I think that's what this show really comes down to. They're contenders week in and week out, but when you add up the course, the grind of 17 rounds, are they going to be there going into Salt Lake in championship contention? Probably not.
They're fast dudes. They are fast dudes. We'll drill down a little bit deeper. Roxon's back with the HEP. He did have a really good season going. He did, until that shock blew up. The all-time, if you want to know what it's like to go through whoops without a shock, now we know. We have it on tape. Any reason, Steve, to think that he's not going to be just back to where he was, which any given weekend he can win?
Well, again, there I was deep in the trenches in Vancouver at real races, at these races that you guys were not at, talking to Kenny. Still some adjustment to the KYB suspension for Supercross. They ran Showa until that accident. They switched to KYB. They're very flexible at Pipes Motorsports there. They can run anything they want. They're working on an electric start. I think that'll be on Kenny's bike at Anaheim 1. I think that's been worked through. Don't quote me on that, but I know they were close. And so he'll have electric start. He'll have some KYB stuff. So some changes for Kenny a little bit here and there. And can he win a race? Absolutely. He's Ken Roczen. He's awesome. But yes, I do think we'll see more of the same from him on the Suzuki.
JT, I'll go to you with the other guy that won the race last year, which is Plessinger. You talked to him at the meetings in California that Steve was not part of. What are the vibes like? I have a feeling I know what the vibes were like for AP, but I wasn't in the room when he was in the room. So what did you pick up from him?
Yeah, it's business as usual, right? He's in such a good place almost all the time. Happy, content, I think he's enjoying the ride where a lot of guys kind of don't. I think if you look around, a lot of guys are feeling the pressure of the situation that they're in at the races, and AP doesn't. I'll refer back to the opening ceremonies of A1 2024. And I was like, hey, AP, I understand it's A1. I need to get this interview done. Are you one? He's like, yeah, man. Hey, whatever. Like it seemed like he was in Newport at a local bar, not feeling the pressure of Anaheim 1. And I think that's just him all the time. Doing good, doing bad, championship, red plate, like everything's all good all the time for AP. And, those December meetings were no different. Could he work on things and be better in certain situations? Of course. But yeah, if you ever looked at a factory rider and said, man, they have the life I want, I think AP is the poster boy for that, because he looks like he's enjoying every second of it.
Yeah, so he's having a good time. Roxon should be fine. Maybe upset that he wasn't in show 1, but otherwise good. Let's get a little spicy meatball rubbed together here, and I'll put it in the oven at 200 degrees for the next 7 hours. Steve, Let's look at the Baker's factory here. First of all, how many years did the Baker's factory going into show 3? The fast dudes were always coming out of the Baker's factory. Chase Sexton choosing not to train with Aldon Baker is probably a bigger story than we've all even thought about. But the Baker's factory is still operating. They have Plessinger, they have Malcolm Stewart, and now Justin Barcia, who for years was battling the Baker's guys, is there. And we have Malcolm and Barcia together. That's a spicy meatball, Steve.
What re-raceables did we just do? What year was that?
Oh, Daytona 2014. Yes, 10 years ago.
And there's Malcolm and Barcia getting into it. It's fantastic.
Yes.
And now they're riding together. And we've checked into, we have some sources down there. We've checked in and everything's good. They're buddies. They're working well. I always admire Justin Barcia because he gives you 100% on the track every single time. Does he push it too far sometimes? Absolutely. But props to Barcia for, hey, trying out the Aldon Baker's factory and getting along with everybody there. And so really cool to see that. Malcolm's, last year he was flying at the test track guy. I haven't checked in much with flying at the test track, so I haven't heard much about Malcolm doing that. So is that good or bad? I'm not sure, because last year multiple riders were telling me about Malcolm's speed, and it never really translated over into the Supercross series. He looked good at Paris, certainly. And good things for all the guys at the Baker's factory. We need more Aaron Plessingers in the sport, 100%. Like, look, I'm in the media, so I'm incredibly biased towards guys that make my job easy. AP is one of them. I wish more people would take media training classes from Aaron Plessinger.
Actually, I'd even put Malcolm also in that same category. He's always fun to talk to. What's weird is, JT, when we brought up the flying at the test track last year thing to him, he seemed surprised. He did not feel like he was flying at the test track in December of 24. And I think he saw the whole year was going to be a rebuild. And from the vibe I got from Malcolm, it was only about halfway through outdoors, when he was actually having fun, not hating it like he thought he was, that he really started to, I guess, get back in the groove. I feel like all of Supercross, he was never the Malcolm Stewart that he can be. Is it good enough to get all the way back and win a race? I don't know. But I at least hope he's better than he was last year. He showed up, but it wasn't Mookie fever, heat race Mookie, or anything like that.
Yeah, and last year, I will attribute it to you get biased by the people around you. And if you're only practicing with the same people over and over and over, well, the best of you, that's great. Awesome. You should be happy about that. But maybe that level's not good enough. And maybe had Malcolm gone over and ridden with Jet, they'd have been like, oh, snap. Like that, we're not quite as good.
Or up in Tallahassee with Star or all the other 100%. Places, right?
Yes, it doesn't matter, right? But I think, we heard it from Christian Craig and people that were in this small circle. And I think you only gauge off of what you know. And that's always the risk, is you all ride together and everybody's working to get better, better, better. Well, if the level that you all get to is not good enough, you're going to get to A1 and be like, oh, crap. Like, we're in trouble now. And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I think those are where those comments came from, is he was the fastest of their group. And they thought that would really translate into he can go up against anybody. And it didn't necessarily play out that way. I do want to mention.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I wanted to mention quickly, and I'll get off the Malcolm topic. The Barcia comments were funny that he made at the meetings, basically saying, like, yeah, everything seems to be okay, but I don't really ever know. Like, everything may be fine.
We haven't raced each other yet.
Yeah, and we go to on Saturday, he's just going to clean me out. I have no idea. But yes, on like Wednesday, things seem to be okay.
Yep. He said he's not leaving the door open. Don't get him wrong. He's not leaving the door open. What you got, Steve?
It was unbelievable. I was surprised that Nathan Ramsey didn't throw himself from the top of the manager's tower into like a death spiral. It was unbelievable. Malcolm and Christian Craig on the Rockstar Husky last year. Crashes in the first turn, crashes in the heat race, LCQs, crashes. They were always seemingly coming from behind. The start of the year was an absolute disaster for the team. And sometimes that sets the tone for the rest of the year and the morale and the mood of the team and all of that. And so let's hope they get off to a better start. Malcolm does this year, because my God, him and his teammate Christian, it couldn't have gone any worse last year to start the year.
It's a good point. Yeah. And then they were really trying to work with zero momentum at that point. Two other riders we're going to talk to. I'll transition over thanks to our friends at Monster Energy, who always back these shows and the series. Speaking of Monster Energy, let's talk Jason Anderson on Monster Kawasaki. Now, Steve, I'm very vocal about the theory that as riders get older, They do not lose the peak speed. They just don't have that peak speed 17 out of 17 weekends. It comes and goes in spurts when they're feeling comfortable. It's a track they like. Like I said in the past, maybe they just wake up and their body's beat up one morning and they feel better the next. Jason Anderson has pretty much illustrated that. JT, I think he even had it down to a number where he said literally there's like 10 tracks I'm good on. Those are the ones where I have to try to get a win. The other ones, I should be in the top 5, at least get a podium. He knows exactly where he is in 2025, Jason Anderson. I don't know if we're getting the title Jason Anderson back or the really good 2022 Jason Anderson back. But I always enjoy how Anderson acts one way and his reputation, JT, is one way. But he's actually one of the most logical thinkers when it comes to how he approaches racing. You just wouldn't know it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there to unpack from what you said. Yes, he definitely has analyzed where he needs to be good and where just weekends it's not going to be perfect for him. And you've got to make the best of a not perfect situation. But a few other things I found really interesting in talking with him was I kind of thought that he peaked a little bit in 2022 and 23 and 24. He just hasn't been his best self. And he kind of pushed back on that notion and said, hey, I've gotten better. I've continued to progress, work with the bike, work with the team. I've gotten better on my skill set, all these things. What's happened is that Sexton and Tomac in 22 took it to a whole new level. Jet took it to a further level in 23 and 24. And I'm scrambling to catch up to that. And he basically laid it out and said, if it was still 2022, my 2024 and 2025 Jason Anderson self would be winning races again against the 2022 level of competition. That is simply not where this sport is anymore. The level is now up here, and I have to try to climb up to that. And I just hadn't looked at it that way. I more thought that Jason Anderson have kind of reverted a little bit or regressed just a touch off of how good he was in 2022. And he would know, he's gauging himself and gauging these other guys. And he's just like, man, these guys are going so much faster than we were that season. I'm having a hard time getting there. So it was an interesting take on someone who, again, remember, he's looking to get a new contract. So this 2025 season will be a contract year for him. He knows the ask. He knows that people are sniffing around for Hayden Deegan, and there's going to be a lot of people that want that coveted Monster Energy Kawasaki seat. So he's got to show up in 2025 and prove to his bosses, of which I'm sure there are many, that he is deserving of a new contract to stay there in 26 and 27.
Steve, you've been talking to Anderson, in touch much? Any off-season updates between you and him?
Haven't talked to him much.
Okay.
But listen, the mud races at the beginning of the year, the open air stadiums didn't do him any favors. He's better on the hard pack. He's in a contract year, like JT said. He seems like, to me, the type of rider that's a little motivated, contract years versus non-contract years. So I think we'll see a better Jason Anderson. I do know from talking to people close to him that Kawasaki has said, like, let's just wait and see. I think they want to see how he gels with Jorge Prado, his teammate over there, because they have banked on Prado and his future. So that's going to be important. So I would look for Jason to probably not take Jorge Prado out at all. So I think he'll be better. Again, he's in this list, fast dudes. I don't know if he's going to win a race. Like, I would put AP as winning a race. I would put Ken Roczen as winning a race ahead of him. But he'll be better.
Yeah, he's in that opportunist stage. On the right night, Anaheim 2 Triple Crown last year, I thought he might have been the best guy. It just didn't work out. I think he went down early in one of the races, but there are going to be nights where he's as good as anyone. He's got to strike when that opportunity is there. One other rider on this list to mention is Justin Cooper, who no one talks about ever, off-season, even during the season. He was a rookie last year, and he was pretty good. And if we're going to go in, as I did with the Lawrences on the last show, and say, look, they were first year in 450 Supercross, they're going to get better, year 2 and 3. Justin Cooper is as well. I actually thought the results from Cooper were going to end up being better. He didn't get all the podiums that he normally gets. I just thought, yep, he's going to be getting third every week, and we're all going to be surprised, and we shouldn't. He wasn't quite that level. Man, it's so hard to gauge. Where is the ceiling for Justin Cooper? I think it's higher than most people think. I just don't know when that's coming. What do you think on Justin Cooper there, JT? I'll go to you first on that.
Well, I think Justin Cooper impressed a lot of people, especially starting to show that sprint speed that we know he's had it. He's a great starter. He can go really fast. And he started to let that shine through at times. Remember that podium he got at Salt Lake City? Everybody was thinking championship and all these other storylines. Justin Cooper got second that night. Like, that was a really great performance from him. So we know he's capable. I think for him, he took a big step. He proved a lot of things to a lot of people in 2024. Now it's taking the next step along kind of where Hunter Lawrence went. He needs to take the step of being, he can win a race. He can show up and be in the fight every single weekend. I think he's capable of it. It's crazy to say because, to your point, nobody talks about him. There's no hype. There's no excitement. But this kid is capable. Every time someone kind of counts him out, he shows why you shouldn't count him out and why he is capable of being there. But I think there's an equation to Justin Cooper's success, and he has to stick to it. He can't start 10th and be a factor. He can't do it. He's never done that in his entire career. 250 Supercross, 250 Motocross. He's got to start at the front. If he wants to be a factor, he's got to lean into the things that he does well. He's not going to overcome adversity. He's not going to overcome all these challenges where a Jet or maybe a Sexton or Tomac, they could. It's got to stick to the script, get the start, good qualifying position, sort out everything, get the whoops dialed in, kind of neutralize your perceived weaknesses and really lean into your strengths. But I think there's a real opportunity for Justin Cooper to kind of maybe not vault into the episode 1 group, but I think he could be a guy that we're talking about week in and week out as a podium contender.
Could be a fast dude. Could be a fast dude. He could be a fast dude. Yeah, Steve, there it is. It's a broken record. Every time Justin Cooper does well, people are surprised, even though he almost never doesn't do well since the day he turned pro. It's one of my favorite conundrums to talk about.
He's totally underrated. And how many times did he qualify quickest or second quickest of the year? Right, he had a few of those. In the season as well, which is, look, it's like dodgeball. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. You qualify fastest in qualifying, you can win a race, right? So he's on that list, man. Yeah, he's definitely underrated. He's got a brand new look this year. Switched gears, switched helmet, everything else, but same bike, same team. So I think he can do as well or better this coming year.
I just want to add one more note there. One of the most, I think, impactful ways you can kind of justify Justin Cooper's existence and rationalize him being one of the elite guys. If you ever talk to Cooper Webb about Justin Cooper's importance of being around, that'll share some insight, because Cooper Webb will tell you that kid is almost unstoppable at the practice track, and he bleeds speed into Cooper Webb. It's that carrot that Cooper is constantly chasing throughout the week. And that just speaks to Justin Cooper's competence. A guy like Cooper Webb is not going to speak about Justin Cooper that way without it being the absolute truth. So the potential is there, is all the point I'm saying. Guys like that don't give credit to riders like that unless there's a lot under the hood. So if Justin Cooper can ever learn to harness that and let it out every single Saturday, he's going to be there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. If you look at Cooper Webb and Justin Cooper, they're both good at the opposite thing. So they probably help each other. That overcoming adversity, that grinding it out, that I'm best of the last 5 minutes of the whole race weekend, that's Cooper Webb. The one lap speed, which is not Cooper Webb's specialty, that is the specialty of Justin Cooper. So Starr knows this. They kept them together, and they've brought in yet a fourth 450 rider to help other riders on the team. But that will be discussed in the next episode, episode 4. Some fast dudes here: Roxon, Plessinger, Anderson, Barcia, Stewart, Cooper. Man, that's a big group. That's hashtag Deep Field. That's our show.
Okay, hold on.
You got more?
Shine on. Yeah. I want.
We got to. Okay, this is a big group. This is going to be tough. Who are we going to put the shine on of this group?
We'll put the shine on Ken Roczen, because this disrespect for being in this video. He's an all-timer. He probably will go down as the fastest rider to never win a Supercross title with the most wins. He's a legend. He rides a Suzuki. And, yeah, shine on Ken Roczen, man. He's a great guy.
That one I can't argue. That's
my thing. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Is he a fast dude, though? JT, who's going to be a fast dude? Who's going to fly with Fly Racing, one of our show sponsors here?
I really want to see what AP can do with this thing, because he surprised me last year. And I think it's very hard to find someone who's not cheering for AP. And when he had the red plate, he got it in San Diego, and then he carried it through A2. It was such a big deal for everybody. Like, everybody was excited for that guy. I kind of want to see what another year of progression looks like from him. Was it a one-hit wonder, or can he use that platform, that foundation he built in 24 and catapult from there? So I'm excited to see what a 2025 version of AP looks like.
And I'm going to throw in, I think for all these guys, we mentioned summer and contract years. Roxon, I think, has one more re-up for 1 year more year with the Suzuki team. Plessinger has 1 extra year here with KTM. Anderson's deals up, et cetera, et cetera. Barcia's deals up. The guy I'm most concerned with is Malcolm Stewart. Where does he go from here? I think the other guys are veteran enough, savvy enough. Someone will try something with them, whether it be for their leadership, their testing, whatever it is. I think Malcolm is the one that has to show it on the track the most. Will he or won't he? I think that's going to be the big question. Almost every guy on this list won't have a deal for 2026 when 2025 begins. So that's intriguing. We'll see what Malcolm Stewart we get. That's show 3. We'll be back for show 4.